Yeah, okay. It's Saturday. Still feel like crap, but I'm in here working. Started cutting out some more. Coming up towards where that bulkhead is, up under the field line there. That's where I'm going to go up to in the scarab. It's really weird when you start cutting. There seems to be like they poured the foam and then laid another layer of fiberglass all the way over to the next stringer. It seemed like they capped the whole stringer, as you can see on this one here. This side's a little cleaner because it didn't get as wet and it doesn't have as much rock. I'm not sure how they did this. If they put a small piece of plywood down between the two stringers and then put the plywood on top of that. Doesn't seem to be any on this side, but this side, as you can plainly see, has fiberglass cloth, although very wrinkled, wrapped all the way over to the next stringer, I guess for support or stability. So I made a cut all the way around. The outside edge is actually, you can see the cut right there, setting my saw at 1.25 inches. I know I have at least 1 inch up underneath the plywood, so I think I'm good there. But it really makes it difficult when you cut and then there's another layer up under this part. So I'm going to continue to hack away at it and figure out how to get the best way to get that out of there. This side of the boat, the port side, really is in a lot better shape than the starboard side, as you can see the rotten wood in there. But anyway, kind of just give you an idea of how it's going. I'm cutting this with the skill saw, just taking the skill saw and ripping down through the plywood, and then coming back with a crowbar, hammer, tapping, trying to pull up the deck. I'd like to get as much deck up as I can without actually tearing up any of the stringers except for the rotten part, so I can make good measurements. I've already got a small diagram of the measurements for where the transom and the motor goes. But as you can see, it's some of this I think is just kind of learn as you go. It can become difficult, but I'll continue to try to video as much as I can. I can't video while I'm cutting. I made cuts all across the decks, all the way around, and then several cuts throughout. And of course this side, like I said, is a lot better shape than the other side. But my plan was to get as far as I can cutting so I can start digging out, and then the last thing I'll take out is the lip around the outside. And so I'll show you how it goes here in a bit. Okay, it is what I thought. They boxed these stringers in together. So from what I can tell, the main support of the two stringers, you got the one stringer that comes down right here and comes this way. Then the second stringer, which starts right there and runs right along here. Well, once you get under the floor, as you can see right here, if you can see that, I ain't got a lot of light in here. But once you get under that floor right here, then there's a boxed stringer, or the two stringers are boxed together with this piece of plywood and then fiberglassed over the top, kind of giving a U-channel all the way around like that. So I'm assuming that the actual stringer height was obviously a half inch. This is 1/2 inch plywood, a 1/2 inch shorter than the finished floor height. They capped and boxed these two stringers together, and then filled it with foam. And of course, this side over here doesn't have the extra stringer. So this final piece, and I'm assuming, I don't believe there is an additional stringer on that side. So basically all they had was these two stringers boxed together for strength, and then foamed down the middle of that, and then the plywood going from gunnel to gunnel, or port to starboard, holding it all together. So at this point, I think I'm going to make an additional rip here, about 5/8 to 3/4 inch deep down each stringer on the edge to pop that top off. I couldn't tell that on the other side because everything was so rotten. But now that I see that, I understand why I was having such a difficult time getting those out. But it makes sense. I understand now why they did it. Obviously for strength, it's got to be a lot stronger to have a box stringer than just a single stringer standing by itself. I'll get back with you. Alright, I'm beginning to wonder here. That is the angle of that outside stringer. And I'm beginning to wonder if they didn't build this stringer box and then place it in the boat and then glass it in. That's what it's beginning to appear, is that the stringer box was built outside of the boat and then placed in the boat. If you look at the inside of this box, and I don't know how well you can see. Hold on, let me see if I can turn a light on. Alright, the light's on. And you can see the stringer doesn't appear to have much of anything on it. It's not glassed. It's just kind of probably prepped for the wood, and therefore I think the box was built and then put in there, the stringer assembly all the way down, and then the floor put on, and then it all glassed over, you know, once it was glassed. But you can see the shoddy workmanship of this stringer stuff here. I don't think for a minute freezing would do that. Not that wrinkled. I mean, I could understand it bubbling out and cracking, but this is just like where the glass was just laid over and plywood slammed down on it while it was curing and moved the cloth, and of course the end result weakened the structure. Of course, while I'm tearing it out, I can tell you right now, it doesn't seem to be weak to me. Even the rotten stuff seems strong. But we know it ain't right. You can see the huge gap right here. And this one, this looks like maybe water could have got in that, froze, and it popped out. But some of it looks really bad. That box there doesn't look that right. Anyway, I'm going to keep working at it. I'll just kind of give you a view of the boat so you can see what a huge mess this is. And just cut a little, pull a little, cut a little, pull a little, until you figure out what's going on. Sawzall, hammer, and that kind of stuff. I'm just trying to get some wood cut out till I can get to a point where I can start taking the foam out and then clean up and then start over again. It's just going to be a long, long process. Alright, the mess is beginning to build over here in my garage. And this is as far as I've gotten. I only worked about an hour, so it's just hard to keep going. I just don't have a lot of energy, but it's going slow, but it's going to get there. It's just going to take a while to get. I think I'm going to have to wait till I get that multi-tool to cut around the edges. Something that I can kind of cut down at an angle with where the hole turns down at. There's really nothing to get in there. And after that it should come up pretty easy. But knowing what I know now, I wish I'd have made all my cuts at 1 3/4 inches to get down through the extra piece of plywood on that thing. The motor boxes, they're like they're doubled up. Well, not the motor boxes, but the box of where the bolts went through for the motor mount. It's actually kind of doubled up all the way around. I mean, they usually did a lot of glass. That round piece you see right there, that's glassed all the way up underneath and down. So I'm almost positive they put these U-shaped boxes together, glassed the parts they needed to glass, and then set them in here and glassed them to the hull. That's about the only way you could do that. And this one over here was so bad and rotted that I just couldn't tell what was going on. Anyway, that's going to be all I'm going to do for today. I've got this thing sitting right about on the ground, as you can see. I took it off those stands, and so it's sitting almost on the ground. Kind of at a downhill rate too. But that's how it's got to be. I could just cut the top off of it completely off and turn it into a nice looking center console. Kind of be a waste though, wouldn't it? Have a good one.